And this is our Earthtones by Bahamas Roundtable. Do you want to start with first impressions?
Yeah, at first, I only heard a couple songs from Bahamas before listening to the album, and it definitely wasn't. They weren't similar to this album at all. It's kind of like it's kind of like funk, soul, and R&B. It's kind of weird, but he almost like delves into rap at times too, in like a weird conversational tone, which I didn't know what to make of at first. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I definitely think that one of the things that I noticed right off the bat is it's not rap, but it's more so like talk singing. Like it kind of seems like he's like, because like rap has a lot of rhythm and it's like punchy, but like this, he will like talk and then it'll kind of flow and then he'll talk again and it'll flow. So it like, and it goes with the music, and then you'll have like the female vocals in the background, and everything just kind of melds together really well. But I totally agree with you that like, especially in Bad Boys Need Love Too. Is that it? Okay, like it does go straight into rap, and that's like, it was so weird with that song because that song was like the only one of its kind on the album, I feel. So
yeah, listening to it first, like those kind of things, the talk singing kind of threw me off. Like the first listen through the whole album was just, it was almost off-putting. It was kind of odd. But like listening to it again, like I found those things did work together well. Like you got used to the sounds, and it was pleasing. Like it was actually nice to listen to, and there was no jarring sounds because it just flowed.
For me, it was the opposite. I really enjoyed the disconnection between it because it made each song different at first, but as I listened to it more and more and more, it almost seemed to blend together too much, which was a little bit weird because I just couldn't listen to it after a while because each song was too similar to each other after a while.
I did some research because I kind of want to understand, like, why did he decide to just change his approach to music? And he had D'Angelo, like the R&B singer, his rhythm section, like producing the music for it. I guess the dude playing as the backup band. Like they've also done work for The Who, Nine Inch Nails, Marvin Gaye, John Mayer, Keith Urban, and Lady Gaga. So like they've obviously got a pretty diverse background in music, so I guess that would explain all the different voices and styles you hear on it. And he also said that like normally he has a lot of creative control, but this time he kind of just let the band follow their musical instincts, as he put, because he's just like, you guys do what you want, then just we'll go with that, versus him just saying this is what it should sound like. So that's where that R&B, like, funk, soul influence comes from.
that's actually so weird. I was like, when you said that, because I was like, oh my god, because in my notes, I put down that it sounds a lot like John Mayer, just because of the fact that it reminded me so much of Your Body's Like a Wonderland, just because it's kind of like, it's very like calming, and it has like that, you know, that guitar riff in the beginning of the song in Your Body's a Wonderland? It sounds so much like that, and it's just very like relaxing. It's very relaxing music. It's like I compared it to like coffee house music, and it's like I could just like imagine it like playing in the background, and like it's conversational music. It's music that you can, I was gonna say talk over, but I didn't mean it like that. It's just like you can like appreciate it and then do things at the same time, and I think it's just a relaxing album.
It's not overwhelming. Kind of
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, also going off what you said earlier with like the diverse
backgrounds.
Backgrounds, yeah. So he said in an interview with the Toronto Star that he liked, like, basically when they're making the music, as soon as it sounds like nothing he's ever heard before, then he's happy with it. So I think that really explains why some of the sounds are so different on his album, because that's what he was going for.
Yeah, it's the sounds throughout the album that make it totally different. Not his voice. And in that way, can we really give him credit for the album then?
I don't know. I think so, because I'd say his voices are kind of like different too. Like obviously the certain singers like Teddy Pendergrass, like Barry White, like Bad Boys Need Love Too, where he hits those really low notes come to mind. But maybe because he's collecting so many different voices and are influenced by so many different voices, that it does. I think he does warrant some credit, because at the end of the day, like he's the one that's listened this album through and heard like the real high pitch, the real low pitches, and then his conversation. Like it's quite the amalgamation of voices. So like I don't know, I give him credit for that. Like it was kind of off-putting at first, because I didn't even know that he was capable of getting that low. That is so low. True. Oh my god! But Yeah, no, I think I give him credit for that. I think what's also interesting though too is he approached the album a lot differently because he's got 2 kids now, right? So he's a family man, so he's busy. So he actually wrote "Bad Boys Need Love Too" while sitting in traffic, like in his car. He wrote the song, and that from the reviews I read, that's one of like the least liked songs. So maybe the quick approach wasn't the most effective, but I kind of like this. It's kind of funky. It is weird. Maybe a bit uncomfortable at times, but I don't know. It's interesting.
It sounds like a lot. Sorry.
No, go.
It sounds like a lot of his songs were composed like that quickly. Like he said, like he'd have like 10 minutes and he'd just like throw down some lyrics and be like, "Okay, that's it. I just have to stick with it," instead of like tweaking it like he used to do, I guess.
Yeah, I really appreciated the stark contrast between his voice and the female vocalist voice, because especially when his voice went so low and hers is very, very high, that like it really like they're so different that those two together just created something really, really nice. And yeah, I think that a lot of the songs I think speak in like story mode, sort of. Especially like it's really weird because you were talking earlier about how like Naomi was his wife, yet a lot of the songs are talking about their relationship failing, and the fact that you just said that he has 2 kids now, like it really seems like I said that it was an album about self-reflection and like him reflecting on his life and his relationships and stuff like that. So I'm wondering like if there was some sort of issue in his relationship, because like towards the end of the album, I even wrote down a lyric. He was like, hard to find trust if the 2 of us aren't even trying. And it said like, I can't be everything to everyone. And then there's the No Depression song, where it's literally just all about like mental illness and how he's dealing with it. And
Could it be him reflecting not on these issues within his own life, but on these issues in general? And like his own insecurities within himself? So maybe not his own active life, but the fear that these will occur, possibly, if he's in a happy relationship.
Or
but
maybe something that happened in the past and he's reflecting on that in the future and how he's overcome it, maybe.
Yeah.
That's one thing I found kind of disliked about the album, is that the entire thing is in first person. And it has been done before. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with writing songs in first person, because sometimes you just need to get that off your chest and put yourself at the center of it. But I found it to be very repetitive in that sense, because it's just like I. He's just always. And I'm not saying don't talk about your problems in your music. It's it's a healthy coping strategy, but it just, for a full album of, I guess, all first person. Like I guess maybe because he changed up the sound so much, it kind of worked to counteract that like redundancy. But I found like after listening to it a couple of times, I don't know, it kind of was off-putting. What do you guys think?
I find you could almost, I agree, because you could almost expect what the lyrics were going to be, like when it came to the next song, because they were very similar in that sense, just very first person and on the same theme, basically, that you had raised up.
It disconnected the listener from the songs themselves, because there's so much I that it's this person speaking about himself, and at the end of the day, you look at it and you don't relate much to it, because it's so distinctively his own life. If there were some I's or some U's or some love songs in there to someone else, then you might connect with it more. But since there's so many I's throughout, you don't have that one song that you connect with entirely.
But it's interesting because it's almost like a narration of what he's trying to do. And like if you read a novel and it's in first person, I feel like that's such an easy point of view to connect to. So it's interesting that everybody says that they can't connect to him, because like you're reading a novel and you're like, oh, I can connect to this character, I can see how they're feeling. But the fact that he's being so personal with his experiences, it is very hard to be like, oh yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. What was your guys' favorite tracks in the album?
Mine was Alone, simply because that was like it was this great opening. His vocals were gorgeous throughout that song, and I actually connected with that song. It's the only one that I sort of actually had any connection to. So it's my favorite simply because of that, because that one first song was such a great intro to an album, and while I find that the rest of the album fell short too, Alone, if I just had that song, I would be happy.
For me, it would have been either No Expectations, simply because it's kind of just a little bit more uplifting than the rest of the album. Like you could just listen to it and feel good. And I think it has a sweet message, which probably isn't like that common anymore. At least not that I find. And then I like the intro to So Free. That's it, but I really like the intro.
I really liked the intro of Show Me Naomi. I really liked that guitar riff. I thought it was really, really cool. But like it was hard for me to actually like the rest of the song. Like I was so drawn in with this like catchy guitar hook, and then it kind of just like went off. But like that simply like made me really, really like that song.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Bridget. Like Alone was my favorite because like, it was so epic, which it's kind of a bummer because like we have a start with a song that epic and heavy, and they just like the release of tension. I think you inevitably have expectations for the rest of the album. Like this one's if it's starting with this, but it seemed like it kind of just just cruise, like downhill cruise from there. Like that was like an uphill drive, going $150, but yeah, it didn't really get to that point again for me. And I wouldn't say that the album was a disappointment after that, but like I was hoping for another one of those feelings. When you hear a song, it makes it feels like your soul just drops. It just like I can't really describe it, but I think that was one of those ones. It was just like it's like getting hit with a brick, but made of tears, frozen tears. I don't know. That's how I describe it.
Yeah. I'm just really curious as to what you guys like how the album made you guys feel, because like I put down that it made me feel very warm. Like I feel like in all of it it had a warmth to it that made me think of like summertime and like coffee, just like warm thing. Just because it had like that like low bass line, his voice was very low, like the lilting of like the female voice. It was just like it's just like a warm hug at times.
I kind of get I see that. I kind of more like a fall vibe if we're relating it to seasons. I guess I don't know. I kind of got a fall vibe. I don't know. Like it's just like, but like a warm fall day, not like November fall where it's like freezing and you're wearing a coat. And you wish you would have wore wool socks, but like
sweater weather.
Sweater weather, exactly. Yeah, like maybe like mid-September, I guess.
No, I agree with that completely. I think that's partially because like it was a little alienating. So you were like, it's cool, it's distant, but
true.
But I also I get the warm hug on like some tracks. I got that. Yeah.
I actually got a winter vibe. I got like a winter coffee house, like curled up in a blanket with a cup of hot chocolate vibe, which is really weird. But it also really made me want to dance, despite the really like sort of sad lyrics. Sometimes it made me want to dance and lose myself to it.
There's a lot of because it's so they have such funk backgrounds. It's like it's a head bobbing album. You know what I mean? You kind of just.
I think that's a great way to wrap up the roundtable because we're pretty much at time. So thank you, everybody.